Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Beyond the Forecast. We've got a really exciting subject for the time of year. We're talking all about apples.
Yes.
I'm joined by Catie McNeil, meteorologist here at 12 News, and Joe Polseno from Pippin Orchards there in Cranston.
Right,
Welcome, Joe.
Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you here. We're talking about apples. Let's get right to it. How's the apple crop this year?
This year, the apple crop's pretty good. It's very large, and that's because of the rain we had early in the season. But overall, it's very good compared to other years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you did have a big issue, though, in the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Or in the middle of the year.
Yes. At our farm, we had hail on July 3rd, as you remember, which did put some marks on some of the apples, but it's not all of the apples. So if you're still looking for a perfect apple, they're available. If you don't mind a little mark, it doesn't hurt the taste of the apple. It just might leave a small mark on the apple. Again, you'll notice it if you ever see them. And again, there's nothing to be worried about. It doesn't hurt the inside, doesn't affect the taste, doesn't affect anything but a visual spot.
So, Catie, you were on duty that night,
Yes.
July 3rd.
Yeah, that was a very just hectic night with the speed that line of storms came through. And as the reports started to come in, the reality was setting in that this was a little bit more intense than even we had thought it may be, especially with the hail and the wind. So you wouldn't think necessarily, already thinking about apples, but obviously you guys have your process throughout the year to get ready for peak season. So I'm sure you guys are constantly monitoring kind of what is going on all summer long to prepare for, okay, the fall's coming. We're about to, kind of start that peak where people are going to be coming to the farm. But like you said, luckily this wasn't something that, wiped out the crop or anything of that nature, but just a little damage to the apples.
Yeah, again, for the apples, it was worse. We have peaches, which normally it would affect the peaches a lot worse, but because the peaches are inside the tree, not as protected by the canopy of the tree, they made out okay. There was a little bit of damage in the peaches, but some of the apples, certain varieties got really bad. But again, not enough for me to complain about it. As always look at the positive, look at the things that made it through okay, and and continue on.
Absolutely.
There was 1 inch hail with that storm.
Yes.
I mean, I was right down the street. Pippin Orchard is technically in Hope, the village of Hope, right?
Yeah.
I was right down the street at the fireworks in Hope Village, and there was no Wi-Fi there. There was no cell signal, so I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah,
I'm trying
you
to
texted me. You're like, can you let me know what's going on?
How's the weather looking? And I could just see a cloud coming, and then I didn't know it was going to be that bad. Eventually, I got just enough of a signal, and I said, uh-oh. We got to get these people out of here. So I eventually found the EMA director down there, and fortunately, he got everybody out of there. I mean, that was really, I said it before, that was probably one of the worst thunderstorms that I've ever been in. My parents were there. I had to drive them home. It was like a scene from Twister where things were flying across the road.
Yeah.
We had everything but cows coming across the front of the
Well, and the
car.
timing couldn't have been worse with all of the 4th of July events going on. And I remember as I was seeing that initial line approaching northwestern Rhode Island, I was like saying, if you haven't gotten inside already, you should do so immediately, because what I think a lot of people were more worried about was the actual fireworks being affected, which I had said, I think by 9, 10 o'clock, things will be fine, but everybody's already out and about at all these events hours before that. So it was definitely a little stressful to be seeing that coming through and knowing people were outside.
A challenging night to get the message out.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
for sure. All right, so fortunately the apple crop not badly damaged. I mean, it was a little bit bruised, right?
Yep.
You didn't have any trees come down or anything like that. Tell me about other struggles that you have throughout the year. Obviously, water is a big struggle for you, right?
Yes, definitely. I'm fortunate enough, if it's a dry year, to have irrigation. Every time we put in new trees, we put irrigation in. So I know you're not going to hear this from most farmers, but I'm happy with the drier season because I can turn water on. When it rains too much, you can't stop it. And what happened this year, we had that early rain in the season, so it produced the apples and most of the fruit bigger early. So normally, if what the so 3rd, 4th of July hail is not as bad as it was this year because the fruit was bigger, and we actually got bruises on the apples. I
Because
mean,
the
bruises
apples
you
were
could
so
physically
big.
see. Yes, correct.
So we have a graphic. It shows how much rain we've gotten since the spring. April wasn't so bad, but look at that rain for the month of May. 8 inches of rain. Wow. And that's why those apples just got to be so big, right?
Yeah, and it felt like when it rained, it would rain a lot. It wasn't, as you remember, it wasn't a rain every day. It was rain today, 2-3 inches. No rain next week, 2-3 inches again. And that's what we remember most about it was when it would rain a lot. As opposed to a 1/4 inch every day for, 2 weeks.
Spaced out a little bit more, yeah, which is obviously when you get these deluge, storms that come through or whatever, some locations may see that 2-3 inch amount in one sitting, which for crops is not obviously the ideal kind of way you want to go about it. But that is an interest. I didn't even think about that the fruit would be larger at that point. So then there was more of an impact from the hail versus if there hadn't been as much rain prior to that. That's interesting.
Right. And I got to say that my whole life, I've never seen it like that before. Now, again, maybe when I was a little kid, I just didn't realize it, but to see it come that early, and then all of a sudden I'm driving through the orchard going, wow, everything is so big this year. I mean, we're having a harder time finding smaller fruit than we are bigger fruit. Normally, you're hunting down big fruit. Now it's like, I wish I had some smaller apples this year.
Is there anything else that goes into how the apples grow? How about temperature? How does that impact that?
Temperature is usually, like right now you would think this temperature is perfect because nights are cool. What is not great for the apples right now is we're getting the cool nights, which is great for them. But the warmer days, as you know, it's not hot, it's warm.
Yeah.
Most people walk outside and say, oh, it's beautiful out. But for an apple, it's not. It's getting just warm enough so at night it's cool, and then that warmer temperature during the day is making them fall off the trees. Sort of similar to the fall coming early on regular trees and getting foliage. So that seems to be a little bit of trouble, is apples falling like crazy. I mean, you go through and all of a sudden you see a tree the bottom is just covered.
Because it's so dry recently.
The dry and then the temperature that warmer day. If it stayed cool, it'd be perfect, be beautiful.
Before we go to a break, have you had any problems with the lanternflies?
It's funny you say that. I saw my first one a couple days ago. And then, of course, I asked some people, questions about it, and they said there's nothing for me to worry about because they're already in Rhode Island, they're here, and they're easily controllable, and they don't affect apples. I was told people who grow grapes have an issue.
Yeah, the vineyards. So that's been kind of my beat for the past few weeks. I've done a couple stories on this, and yeah, the vineyards are something that the DEM is watching very closely because grape vines are one of the plants that they go after, I guess, but that is good to know that you haven't seen any impacts, but there definitely are a lot more around in the past few weeks.
I saw one out in the parking lot just yesterday. Yep. All right, we'll be right back with more from Joe from Pippin Orchards. All right, welcome back to this edition of Beyond the Forecast. Catie McNeil and Joe Polseno from Pippin Orchard. In the break, we were talking about lanternflies and other potential issues. You grow fig trees there, right? So you're watching that closely.
Yes, we grow fig trees in the greenhouse because in our area they don't grow outside all year. So I'm watching that because, as we spoke about, the lanternfly, I guess it sucks the sap out of trees, which is why it's not good for grapes. I don't know if it's going to affect the fig trees. Not that there's a lot of sap in them, but I know the figs have a milky substance that gives the fig its taste. So I don't know if it's going to affect them. But like I said, right now it's not an issue. I just saw one. I haven't seen a lot of them, but I just remember seeing that one. I took a picture of it going, I've never seen a bug that looked like that before.
And everyone's like, we've been talking about this.
Yeah, and everybody else had to tell me what it was because, again, I've never seen it.
Well, I feel like the population certainly has exploded. I've talked to the DM about this quite a few times now in the past month or two. They are now in their mating season. So it wouldn't surprise me if you started to see a few more. But yeah, beyond grapes, I'm not sure what other crops specifically that they're attracted to. But yeah, I think it's anything with some sort of sap that could potentially be an issue. So the apples, yeah, wouldn't really worry about that. But right. Maybe the figs. That's a good question, actually.
We'll find out. You have to check back with me on that one.
All right. So Pippin Orchards, they've been there a long time, that orchard, correct?
The actual orchard itself, my father started in the 60s, but before that, it was an orchard. And that goes back to colonist days where they used to grow Pippin apples for the colonists to make hard cider. I researched that one day, found it, and then when I went back to look for it, I couldn't remember where I found it, but I will find it again, hopefully soon.
So the orchard and the road is named after
The Pippin apple,
the
yep.
Pippin apple.
Which is ironic because we don't have any Pippin apples on our farm. I did try and plant some trees one year and they didn't make it.
Really?
And, it's a very old-fashioned tree. Obviously, it's an old apple. So just getting older apples are getting harder to do this nowadays. Now everybody wants the newest, hybrid apples that they're making. And they're great apples, but a lot of people don't want old apples. They don't look pretty. They might taste great, but they don't look pretty. Now everybody wants something that looks good.
Yeah, like the very kind of robust colors and all that stuff. I didn't even know that the Pippin apple was a type of apple.
I didn't either.
Yes, there's a few. There's just a regular Pippin, and then there are other orchards around. There's one in Situate. He grows a Cox orange Pippin.
Okay.
He has a lot of older apples himself, older varieties, which, again, that's really good. But for us, it's hard to take care of an older tree. I have all new trees. That's unfortunately. It's good, it's bad. It's nice to have nice young trees because you get nice fruit, you get all the new varieties, but they don't have the look and the beauty of the old trees. Those 50, 60, 70-year-old trees that everybody likes to look at. My trees are geared for picking, for apple picking. As we said, if you can reach it, you can pick it. You don't want a tree that's 40 feet tall anymore, 40 feet wide. You want to take a picture with one.
I remember when I was a kid, they used to give us like those big long poles with the baskets, or some places even had ladders, which I can't believe back then.
Yeah, we used to have ladders and poles. I'll never forget that one.
Just, hey,
go climb that
go
ladder.
up on the ladder, yeah.
Okay.
But you said that the older trees now you've been struggling. Well, you tried to keep some older trees going, and they weren't.
We did, and again, it was nice, but they take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
Our older trees that I had removed, they were 40 feet apart from each other, and that's a big tree. The trees I put in now, they're about 8 to 10 feet away from each other. So you're getting smaller trees, but you're getting maybe a smaller volume out of each tree, but overall per acre, you're getting more apples.
Well, I was going to say, if
better
people
quality.
can reach them too, then you're hopefully taking advantage or maximizing the crop that the tree is yielding. If people can get to more spots in the tree, theoretically.
Exactly, because I remember as a kid, people coming to pick apples, and they always wanted to know what was up at the top. Because it always looked good what you couldn't reach, you couldn't have. And then when you did get it down, you'd look at it and go, that's not that good. But again, everything looks good from a distance.
How big is the orchard itself?
It's about 20 acres.
Wow.
The orchard itself. We have 2 ponds, which will take away from that. And then, of course, the store is on there. So overall of trees, there's maybe 16, 18 acres of trees. My goal by the time I get done replanting is to have about 4,000 trees.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, they're close together. I mean, I have one section where the trees are 2.5 feet away from each other. That's a trellis tree. If I could do it again, it's not exactly the best planting for picking, but we bring the school kids there when we had schools come and visit, so then they could pick those apples.
Okay. How many trees do you have now?
That's a good question. I'm going to guess somewhere around 3,500.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't look it. But,
That's a lot of apple trees.
It is. It is for considering there's only a couple people working there. I have one guy who takes care of everything.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Yeah, no, and so you're trying to plant, an additional 4,000 on top of what
No,
you have?
4,000 total.
Oh, okay. So another 500.
So
if
when
you have roughly
when the
35.
spacing
I was
comes
like,
out,
wow, that's a lot.
right now the trees we'll be removing this year, I think there's like 28 in a row. If that, there's probably like 14 in a row. And then we'll put, I think, 30 in a row.
Okay.
Because again, you're taking trees from a 15, 20-foot spacing and put them in 10.
Wow.
So you don't just grow apples there. I went there a couple weekends ago. There were a lot of other things that you have there. You got slushies. You've got baked goods. Tell us a little bit about what you offer.
As far as growing, we also do peaches. That was very big this year. Peach crop was excellent. We still have some. Normally by now we're out of peaches, but right now we still have peaches, probably for another week or two.
I'm gonna have to stop in.
And then we have the apple cider donuts, which we've had for years now. Of
There were
course, the
people
pies.
waiting in line
Those are a
for
big
those
hit,
donuts.
yeah.
Yes, yep, we make them every day. During the week, you just make a batch in the morning, and when they're sold out, they're sold out. On the weekends, we try and make them all day, nonstop until the store closes. And then this year we have gelato, which comes from Italy. It's actually made in Italy and shipped over here frozen, and we sell that. It's something new we're trying this year.
I had a sample of the pistachio gelato, which
Yeah.
was just absolutely delicious.
Yes, and it's made with real pistachios. I did not know
It
about
is.
pistachio flavors until this year, that a lot of things that are flavored pistachio are just flavored pistachio and they add green coloring. Where a lot of people look at this and go, that color doesn't look right, because pistachios aren't really green.
They're
They
not
just
that
have a
bright green
Yeah.
that you would think associated with the pistachio. All right, coming up in a little bit, we'll talk about all the different kinds of apples that you grow, and we'll talk about a few other things related to apples. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are talking with Joe Polseno from Pippin Orchard. We're going to talk all about apples now and all the different kind of apples that you grow. You grow quite a few different kinds, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Probably a couple dozen different kinds throughout the season.
So we were talking a little bit about that, the fact that if people ask you, certain times of the season is kind of when certain apples are at their peak to be ready to be picked.
Yes, definitely. We're getting questions now. Well, for example, red and golden delicious don't come till after you get a frost. So
Interesting.
you can't just say, a couple weeks, because you really need that frost to change the apple for the sugars to actually take effect. Other apples we won't even have when a frost comes. I mean, there are two varieties already that are done. Ginger Gold and Gravestine are long done. They're early apples. They're not very popular because they're early, they're not hard. They might be sweet, they might be good, but once the harder apples come out now, nobody wants them anyway. Nobody wants it. It's not soft. It's sad to call it a soft apple because it's not soft. It's just compared to the later apples, which are harder.
Like a Macintosh, that's kind of a softer
Yes,
apple.
exactly. Somebody say, "Oh, what's your hardest apple right now?" And when Macs are the only thing out, you're like, "That's it, right there." And it's hard for the
Yeah.
time of the year, for early September. It's a hard apple, but come October, you're going to say, "Oh, that's a soft apple," and it was always the same hardness. It's just compared to anything. Just like if you ask me for the sweetest apple, it depends which one I give you and what I give you first. If I give you a Mac first, everything's going to taste sweeter after that. If I give you a Honeycrisp first, the Mac's going to taste, tart. So again, it's all relevance, and when you ask me what's sweet, what's soft, and things like that, it's all personal.
And so you did bring some apples with you today.
Yes, I did.
I volunteered to be the model for these if we want to kind of just go down the line
Yeah, just
here. So
grab
I guess
one
let's
point.
start with this one.
That's a Cortland. We just started picking those literally yesterday. So there might not be a lot of them available, say, this week, because, again, we just started. It's almost a little early for them, but
I like the color of the
yes,
the
yeah.
deep
Normally
red
they
color.
don't have that deep red. Normally have more greenish in it. But what we did is we picked the redder ones because they're exposed to the sun, which helps them color.
Now, those are the best ones for apple pies, correct?
Again, my opinion, yes.
Okay.
There are people who will
Okay.
say, "Oh, that's not." I like a Cortland because it stays hard in the pie. Now, not as hard as the table.
It doesn't turn to mush.
Yes, and
Yep.
when we make our pies, we use a mixture of them. So you'll get some of the harder, some are softer, and I personally
depends on your preference,
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, truthfully, personally, I would like all hard apples in my pie. I'd like to cut it and make it look like a picture, but you don't want all hard apples. You don't want all soft ones. You don't want an apple. You don't want a mush pie,
Yeah.
basically. Applesauce pie. But
Yeah.
some people do. So hey, if that's what you like,
Whatever you like,
that's
right?
good. Yep.
All right, so let's go next down the line here.
That's a gala. Great eating apple. Again, some people will cook with it, and it is good to cook with, but not as good as the Cortland, but definitely good to eat. That was a very popular apple years ago, and it still is, but
I like
now it's
the
not.
pattern, like the gradient on this one. It's cool.
It's almost
little
like a
smaller.
red delicious.
Yep, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of people would compare that to a Red Delicious.
That's a harder apple.
Yeah, it
too,
probably
right?
does have some Red Delicious in it, and that's where it's getting the shape and that color.
Okay.
And yes, that's definitely a hard apple. That's probably why people don't like to cook with it. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, so there's obviously like the preferred ones for just eating, baking. All right, so let's go to the third one down the line here.
That's a Honeycrisp. I did manage to find one of the smaller ones this year. They're going to be huge.
They are. These are big apples. They really are huge.
Yeah, and again, you know, normally you think everybody wants big apples, but as soon as you have big ones, all of a sudden everybody wants tiny ones.
Yeah.
That's the earlier Honeycrisp. It's not going to be as red as the later ones.
Okay.
The ones that come later in the season will be very red. Taste is very similar. There are different Honeycrisp strains, so you'll see them in your supermarket early, and then you'll see some late, and they just call them Honeycrisp. They're not telling you
But they're
exactly what
different.
kind.
Yeah.
Some come earlier, some come later. And the next one seems to be the old-fashioned apple, Macintosh. There are people who still love to cook with those apples. But it's always been commonly known as an eating apple.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I
again,
did
people do
hear
like
this,
to cook
yeah.
with them. And it's a good sauce apple because it's soft.
You know.
So this one has a little bit more of a green gradient to it,
Yeah.
which I didn't realize. I don't know why I thought Macintosh were always red,
Well,
but I guess
I think it depends on where it comes from, when you pick it. There are Macs. Traditionally, it should have more red in it. But
Okay.
for us, our part of the, I don't even want to say part of the region, our part of the state, the apples are greener. You know, we don't have that really nice fall crisp weather early, like say they do in upstate New York or Vermont or even other parts of the state. And for us, the apple will always have a little bit, all my apples will always be a little greener, which is kind of funny because I think our customers got used to that. A McGowan should have, they're not ready yet, McGowan should have
I like
more
those,
red
yeah.
in it, but I think my customers are used to the greener, almost not ready. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that goes into that it's different parts of the season, different apples are at their peak. So people, you know, that are waiting for different types of apples should be kind of paying attention to that. So like, going off of that, do you have information on kind of like when the best picking times are for certain apples if people are on the lookout?
It's tough because I always say it varies throughout the season. This weekend we'll have the Honeycrisp available to pick. And I always laugh at that because there are a lot of Honeycrisp available right now. But next weekend there won't be.
They go
Because
quick.
people are going to come, they're going to hit just those trees. And in 2 weeks, if you go to those trees, they're going to be bare. And you're going to say, where are all the Honeycrisps? But now we have others in the orchard. Hopefully they'll be available as they go on. So it's hard. And the original planting of the orchard was not for picking, for pick your own.
Okay.
Apples were scattered throughout the thing. If there was a hole, my father would just put any tree there. So you can have a row of Macs and right in the middle find a Red Delicious. I'm trying to change that over time. But
Obviously that
the
takes
one
time
thing I have
adjust
to make
that.
sure is I tell everybody is the trees aren't marked, and everybody has come up with ideas of marking the trees, and we tried it, and honestly,
It's hard.
it's very hard, and the varieties change throughout the season. Plus, it depends on the weather. If Macs are falling off the trees, you might not see any in 3 weeks out there. It doesn't mean I won't have them in the store because apples store. You know, I can pick them, put them in cold storage, and sell them next week, next month, 3 months from now. Because I will get people that ask that question. Well, how do you have Macs in the store but not in the orchard?
Yeah.
And it's because I can store them. Our cooler is set at the right temperature, usually below 37, 38, close to freezing, but not frozen.
So we're almost out of time. So you're open on weekends for picking, right?
Yes, 10 to 4.
10 to 4. Is it open during the week at all for the bake shop or anything?
The store itself is open every day, 9 to 5, but the picking is 10 to 4. This way we can focus on getting the people the apples they deserve, not just coming during the week and then, not having the right selection.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And lots of options, very exciting. I have not gone apple picking yet, but I'm looking forward to taking
there's
trips.
plenty-
I'll have to come visit.
There are plenty of farms. They're all open. You feel free to stop at any of them, and I'm sure they're more than happy to accommodate everybody.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Joe Polseno from Pippin Orchard, thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. We'll
Thanks
see you
for
next
having me.
time on Beyond the Forecast.